Hello guys, and welcome back to my channel. Today, we'll be discussing the lore of the Night of Death, or Shikayako in Japanese. This game was published by Dreamforce Entertainment in 2022, and it is a Japanese-inspired Korean horror game. This lore video will be using the Japanese language version based on my own English translation. Please note this game contains themes of death, violence, gore, and suicide. We start the game with a forestry background, mentioning a forbidden forest in the Yokota region. A forest where everyone enters and no one leaves. Many people come to this forest to end their life. The main character, Shun Kisaragi, has come for the same reason. Shun is a high school student with long hair and dark circles under his eyes. He's gloomy and lifeless, discussing the forest as he first enters it. He mentions the Yokota forest as a hometown of the bastard that made his mom suffer, but it's a good place to quietly disappear. Exploring the forest, he finds it dark, full of plant life and other abandoned buildings, but strangely enough, there are no other people or animals inside. Shun continues through the forest, walking up the strange, winding path. As Shun continues to walk and reaches the end of the winding path, he enters a wide, short clearing. There is a torii gate marking another path, hidden in the foliage on the second half of the forest path. To the right is a small wooden well, but unfortunately, it does nothing as Shun wonders to himself if he's already passed the torii gate in front of him. He's disinterested in the path forward until a girl calls out to him. It's Akari Mikazuki, a classmate of his. While they were in the same class for 2 years, Shun doesn't seem to remember her and reacts coolly. She chastises him, teasing him for not having friends. At this rate, she says, he'll end up a lonely adult. Not that Shun has plans to live that long, however. He responds in an irritated tone, asking what she wants. He definitely doesn't want to be friends with her. The pair continues to talk about their intentions for entering the forest. Mikazuki seems unserious, attempting to gain some camaraderie with Shun before he runs through the torii gate and deeper into the forest. Mikazuki, annoyed, chases after him. The pair finds themselves in the second half of the forest together. Crows appear in the forest, chasing them as they are forced to keep moving forward. On the path to the upper right, there is a small donation box. Shun can commemorate his visit to the temple by donating up to 1,000 yen, or he can decide to do nothing at all. In this case, he decides against it and heads up to the upper right of the map. Here, he and Mikazuki pass through one more torii gate before they are greeted by a pair of fox statues and a set of stone stairs. Curious, the pair walks through another torii gate and up the stairs to be greeted by a large, seemingly abandoned shrine. Mikazuki wants to turn back, but Shun is determined to enter the shrine, wanting to know if the rumors are true. So, the pair enters the shrine, greeted by a small, wide room. There is a bunch of scattered furniture, like scrolls, dressers, and a strange mirror on top of a table. Shun has the option to interact with the mirror or to stop. Finding it strange, he decides to interact with it further, throwing both he and Mikazuki into an entirely different world, one where they will struggle to survive. This marks the start of Chapter 1, Dance of Resentment. Shun and Mikazuki are transported to an area similar to the starting room in the shrine. The interior, while aged, is similar to a traditional Japanese home. Mikazuki is unconscious and not breathing according to Shun. He places her in the bed in the room, wondering to himself if it's the effects of the shrine. He thinks she's a weak kid, and that she shouldn't have followed him in. Regardless, now that they're here, he feels responsible for her safety. He decides to walk around and check the place out, seeing if he can find some way, or someone, to help Mikazuki. At this time, the player will be prompted to select the game difficulty. The 4 levels, Easy, Normal, Hell, or Chaos, are all similar. Chaos difficulty, however, completely forgoes the story and focuses only on the gameplay, leaving players 15 minutes to complete each level. The difficulty has been selected. Shun will receive 2 items, baked potatoes and rusty bells. The baked potatoes can be used to recover health, and the rusty bells can be used to stop pursuers for 20 seconds. Once Shun receives these items, he can check the drawers and shelves in the room to find more items, such as an old amulet, which can be used once to save him from dying, a lattice door key, and a black and white photo. There are also small butsudan, or prayer altar for the deceased, in each room. Each room's butsudan depicts a different person, usually a young woman or shrine maiden, showing a concerning trend in this world. On the tablet next to the mirror is a tattered book. By reading it, Shun learns the story of the unfriendly geisha. The unfriendly geisha was a woman who came to an unnamed town deep in the forest. She was beautiful and played the shamisen, charming the local village men. The village woman, torn with jealousy, took her shamisen one night and hid it deep in the forest. The woman, furious and upset, entered the forest to find her lost shamisen soon after. After searching for a long time, the woman came across a well in the forest and decided to end her life. Unable to forgive the townswomen, after the woman had been missing for a few days, the townspeople searched the forest and found the well where the geisha had hung herself. They were terrified to find her face contorted in rage, her limbs broken, and a spider nesting in the chest of her dead corpse. Shun takes the book with him and leaves the room, having found all that he can inside. Leaving the original room, he walks down the hallway. There are two paths he can take, walking down the hall to the right or continuing straight. With some thought, Shun turns down the hall to the right first. He finds out that this was not a good choice, however, when he encounters one of the first pursuers in this level, Jorogumo, or the orb-weaving spider. She is the same geisha that hung herself in the well in the story. Jorogumo, half woman, half spider, discusses the lack of humans entering this place. They can't escape this area, just like her, and she's mad with hunger. She and Shun have a short conversation about Shun's relation to Yuko Kisaragi, the shrine maiden that sealed Jorogumo long ago. Because of that, Jorogumo feels entitled to eat Shun. Shun, not allowing himself to die in vain just yet, runs back, throws down a rusty bell, and freezes her for a few seconds as he enters a room she's standing in front of, closing the door behind him. Thankfully, the pursuers are unable to enter rooms with closed doors, allowing Shun some safe time to search. He finds an old key, an ominous key, and a blue orb inside of a strange red chest. Once he takes the orb, the red chest dissolves into thin air. With all of the important items collected, Shun approaches a closed screen door once again. Jorogumo stands outside menacingly, waiting for her chance to enter. Before he can get caught, Shun quickly opens the door, lets Jorogumo inside the room, and runs out of the open door, locking her inside behind the closed screen door on his way out. Now Shun can run up the north hallway. Here, he'll be approached by an annoying crow, which can easily be dodged by running around it. Using the key in his possession, he'll open up the door to the left and enter the strange room. While searching the room, Shun finds a strange basket on the ground with an amulet attached to it. The basket has the power to move all pursuers to their original position and slow them down momentarily. Thankfully, Shun does not need this, so he leaves the basket and continues to search the rest of the room. He finds 2 old keys and some rusty bells. Leaving the second room, Shun runs across the hall and lowers the bridge using the lever. Walking past the bridge will reveal more rooms, each full of more colored orbs and keys to different parts of the strange, large shrine. He keeps collecting these items until he enters a strange room, one with a metal lattice door. Inside this small room, there is a chest with an ominous purple aura, like a flame. Shun unlocks it using the ominous key he collected earlier and obtains a necklace of prayer beads with magatama, or curved beads. In the game, they are called Mugen no Nenju, roughly translated to dream prayer beads. With this, the strange energy dissipates. Now, text appears on the screen. A pair of resentment-filled eyes are fixed on you. Shun thinks of this warning as he leaves the room and enters a hall, where he runs into Jorogumo and a 9-tailed fox with a mask over her face. Jorogumo yells at Shun, asking how he released it before running away down the hall. Leaving our first boss, the nine-tailed fox. Using the power of the prayer beads he obtained, Shun can cast balls of light towards the boss pursuer to weaken them. Using the bridge, Shun successfully separated himself from the fox before using the prayer beads on it. Finally, after using the prayer beads, the fox awakens and transforms into a young shrine maiden. The woman has long brown hair and a scar on her face. She appears scared, telling Shun not to approach her, that the grudge hasn't worn off yet. We learn through her that the prayer beads are still unstable, and because of that, only half of her true personality has returned. For now, she can speak to Shun normally, asking his name. He responds directly, "It's Shun Kisaragi." Perplexed, she responds her name is Yuko Kisaragi. Unaware of her descendant, Yuko states that their similar last names must be a coincidence, and, like previously mentioned, Yuko is a shrine maiden that had sealed Jodogumo away 20 years ago. Apparently, that seal is now broken. Yuko and Shun discuss Shun's reasons for entering and his desire to die. Shun came to see his father, the man who abandoned him and his mom. In order to do this, Shun must follow Yuko further into the shrine. By doing so, he will meet another pursuer. Still, Shun is determined, so further into the shrine he goes. Up the hall, through the previously locked screen door, is a strange, faceless yokai with snake-like hair. It's called the Futakuchi Onna, the two-mouthed woman. Yuko had also sealed this creature away when she was younger. But unfortunately, this seal is also broken. The yokai approaches, but Shun and Yuko quickly run inside the next room and lock the yokai out. Inside the room, Shun approaches a Butsudan, or prayer altar, and mentions the young shrine maiden in the photo looks unfriendly. Yuko responds that the woman is Kyoko, a girl who loved the village surrounding the shrine. Until disaster struck, that is. Collecting the colored orb and the key, Shun approaches a mirror on the table, and both he and Yuko are transported to a new area in the shrine. In this new room, there is a strange yellow chest where he finds a mask of memory, which has similar magical powers to the prayer beads. Approaching the prayer altar will prompt Yuko to discuss the figure in the nearby photo. It is a young girl named Tanae, wearing clothes from her older brother, who ran away from home. Yuko doesn't mention anything else, so Shun moves on. Going up the main hall in this area, Shun and Yuko are stopped by a voice calling out to them from the left. There is a room with bloody footprints leading up to it from the hall, the screen doors tightly shut. "Shun," the voice calls, his mother's voice. Yuko tells him to pull himself together, but the voice continues. His mom tells him that she followed him because she was worried, and now she's locked in this room. "Shun, open the door for me," she cries. "I can't," he responds. The door unlocks from the inside. Impatiently, his mother's voice grows more and more desperate until an inhuman growl rings out.
"I want to see your face. Open the door."
Then, unexpectedly, a large and white bloody yeti steps foot from out of the door, glaring at Shun and Yuko hungrily. Shun already knew that the creature was an imposter, though, because his mother would have never called him Shun. She always calls him Keiji. We'll learn why she does this later. Three yetis appear from the opposite sides of the hall. Children's eerie laughter fills the hall as they approach Shun and Yuko. Shun must collect the rest of the orbs in this level before he can move on. Shun and Yuko run, hiding out in a room until the yetis momentarily lose interest in them. Exploring the room, Shun learns about another villager, Yume, from one of the prayer altars. She was only 8 years old in the photo, taken before a horrific tragedy took her life. After collecting the orbs around this map, Shun can use the power of the prayer beads to purify the yetis. The yetis quietly fade into dust, and in the upper right hall, a small orange flame appears. Yuko says it's Akari's soul, Shun's classmate that entered this world with him. Shun can't leave her behind like this, so Yuko and Shun collect the flame containing Akari's soul before moving on. By placing the orbs they collected in the wood box in the hall, a set of sliding doors in the lower left are now unlocked. Shun interacts with the mirror, and Yuko urges him to go on without her. Shun wants to save Akari and to help her escape, but Yuko reassures him that she will protect Akari until Shun returns. Yuko further explains that in the next area, a baby fox will help him, so he should keep moving. As Shun leaves, Yuko says aloud that Shun should not blame his father. As Shun disappears into the mirror, she also urges Keiji to come to his senses. Again, the name Keiji appears, but we still haven't learned who this person is. We now enter Chapter 2, Target of Resentment. Shun appears in a small room. Behind him, a small white fox appears, asking him what a human is doing in this world. The pair talks over a glass of tea, which Shun worries is poisoned. Seeing his trepidation, the fox transforms into a shrine maiden, explaining that while she is a yokai, she has no interest in human flesh. The fox was a nine-tailed fox while alive, but now that she's a spirit, she can only assume human form for a short time. Shun's grandmother, Yuko, was the one helping Shun before, but Shun's lineage is important. Because of the Kisaragi bloodline, he's able to explore the shrine without collapsing, unlike Akari. This led him here. The fox continues, discussing the Kisaragi bloodline and the fact that Shun has come to the village 20 years after the Shiragami curse took effect. It must be due to his father, named Keiji Kisaragi. This explains who Shun's grandmother was referring to earlier, and leaves us with an unsettling truth. Shun's mother refers to Shun by his father's name. It's as if she doesn't even realize her husband is gone, or that she has a child. This makes Shun's anger and sadness make much more sense. But there's more to the story. Keiji, Shun's father, left the village when he was 13 years old, and he returned to the village once 12 years later. During his absence, a horrible tragedy had struck the village. In Keiji's absence, Yokota village was taken over by Shiragami, a powerful yokai. Keiji's immobile mother was burned alive in her home, and the village shrine maidens became sacrifices to Shiragami. Hanae, Keiji's younger sister, was on the verge of being devoured by Shiragami when Keiji returned to the village. Keiji tried to save his younger sister, but he was attacked by the other villagers and beheaded. The fox, named Ymir, asks if Shun wants to save his father. Ymir has been suppressing Keiji this whole time because he has become a vengeful spirit, devouring everything in his path. Shun now realizes what he must do: save his father, Keiji, and purify his soul. Inside the starting room, Shun obtains an ominous key and an old shamisen. Ymir explains that the shamisen is Jorogumo's, and that it would help to return it to her. Holding that thought, Shun walks through the doors and exits the room, exploring the second area. Heading north, Shun encounters a large young centipede and a tall, misty white figure. By breaking the small jade statue in the hall, the tall spirit disappears, and by entering the nearest room, Shun finds more items, including a book titled The Foreigner Who Wouldn't Eat. The story tells this tale of the two-mouthed woman. A rich man from Yokota village had ill fortune and could not find a stable wife. He was too cheap and wanted to find a woman who would eat very little to save himself money. He eventually found a woman who seemed perfect at first, until he realized she would consume large amounts of food at night through her second mouth, in the back of her head. The night the man found out, the story comes to a swift end, not telling us the fate of the man, though I can't imagine the story had a happy ending. Leaving the room, Shun heads directly south. He goes around the starting room and through a large row of purple flames. Here, there's a large stone hallway that separates into two paths, right or left. To the left is the orb collection bin, and to the right is more rooms. Shun goes right and encounters a sunny doll, or a teru teru bozu, a doll commonly hung in windows in Japan to bring about good weather and to prevent rain. This sunny doll is known as the third pursuer. It was hung in a windowsill to bring good weather. But this doll is different. It somehow gained sentience when it was created, feeling both pain and fear when it was hung in the window, which eventually killed it. It now seeks out the human who murdered it, as a mocking expression on its white cloth face with a rope tied tight around its neck, signifying its purpose to its bitter end. It has what looks to be a nail in its hand, laughing mockingly as it begins to pursue Shun. Dodging the fast pursuer, Shun runs inside the nearest room and obtains an old amulet, an old key, and an indigo orb. Exiting the first room, Shun goes right, avoiding another juvenile centipede to enter the second room. He obtains an amber orb and another old key, allowing us entry to a new area. This time, Shun must walk to the far left of this hall, past the orb collection box. A pursuer will be waiting, but Shun is faster. He obtains a lattice door key, a blue orb, and another old key. There is a noose hanging from the ceiling in the room, but it is not interactable, so Shun leaves it alone. Going to the left of the safe room, there is a note on the wall written in red. I wonder which girl took my instrument. Most likely written by Jodogumo. Next to the sign, hard to see, is a black square, a hole in the ground. Shun must use a rope he collected here. Shun doesn't want to go down now, but he will need to, soon. To the far left is a single locked room. With the Sunny doll still in pursuit, Shun must destroy the jade statue in the hall to remove the white shadow spirit in the room before he is able to enter. Inside the room, Shun will obtain a red orb and another old key. With nothing else inside, he leaves and avoids the pursuer, making his way to the far right of the safe room. Here, he places a rope in another hole in the ground. As he continues to the right, he then finds another pursuer. This is the fourth pursuer, the writhing cloudy doll. This doll is said to bring rain when hung on a windowsill, but this doll is a failure. It wants to seek out the person who made it and hang them. The doll hangs on a long rope, its face full of tears, blood splattered around its malformed figure. The doll slowly follows after Shun as he enters the last room. He obtains an old key and a green orb. Now that all the orbs have been gathered, Shun must take the lattice door key to unlock the gated door by the orb collection box. Inside this small, strange room, there is a flaming purple chest and 2 H statues around it. Shun uses the ominous key to open it, extinguishing the evil energy around the chest as he obtains the dream prayer beads again. Though translated as dream, the word in Japanese is mugen, which can mean dream, fantasy, illusion, or vision, something that does not exist. Keep this in mind as you think of the dream prayer beads. After opening the chest, words appear shaking on the screen. A pair of resentment-filled eyes stares fixedly at you. The jade statues next to the chest shatter in unison, and Shun is perplexed. Leaving the small room, Shun returns to the main hall where he finds a gold Hanya mask, a mask in no feeder often representing a jealous female demon, or a demon full of anger and resentment. This begins chapter 2.5, Fallen into Calamity. After interacting with the mask, it disappears and Shun is startled. Suddenly, shaking the ground, appears a large black bob with a singular reddened eye. It's the spirit Ymir mentioned, Shun's dad, Keiji, the bearer of resentment. Unable to stop the spirit on his own, Shun runs up the hall. Here he runs into Ymir, who temporarily holds Shun's father back, giving Shun enough time to escape to the basement down the rope he had placed earlier. Now in the basement, Shun must collect the small orange flames, or the souls, to gather power for the spirit beads. Undeterred, Shun collects the flames while his father follows in quick pursuit. After collecting all of the souls, Shun is able to seal his father's resentment using the dream prayer beads. Once his resentment is sealed, Shun sees his father, Keiji Kisaragi, for the first time in a long time. He is covered in purple flames, standing by Ymir. He is confused, unable to remember anything. Shun slaps his confused father out of rage, telling Keiji how long his mother waited for him, only for him to never return. Through Ymir, Shun learns that Keiji only remembers the moment he saw his sister almost murdered by the villagers. In a fit of rage, Keiji began killing the villagers with his suitcase, brutally beating them to death. After he was beheaded by the village chief, his sister, Hanae, died of starvation. Ymir continues, telling them that the humans that died in Yokota village cannot be reincarnated. They are trapped here forever, due to Shiragami's curse. Ymir urges Keiji to apologize to Shun. Shun, however, is not interested in his apologies, and responds that he only wants to see what type of person his father was. His mother became sick after waiting for him for so long, and she continues to call Shun his father's name, Keiji, instead of his own name, even though he and his father look nothing alike. The scene swiftly ends, and the trio is transported back to Ymir's safe room. Here, Shun can talk to Keiji and Ymir before leaving. By talking to Keiji, Shun can return the black and white photo, but he does not respond positively to his father, saying that he hates him and how he will not return to visit him. Keiji asks for Shun to give his regards to Miyuki, Shun's mom, but Shun rejects the idea heatedly, asking how he could ever explain the situation without sounding insane. Talking to Ymir, Shun will be warned that the last area is not as safe as this one. Ymir promises to protect Keiji, the one who gave her her name, and she says she'll help Shun out of a dangerous situation again if needed. She also tells Shun not to let the fear or trauma consume him. With that, Shun walks back to the orb collection box, places the collected orbs inside, and enters a second mirror to the third area. Before leaving, Shun mentions how his first goal of finding his father is complete. All that's left is his second goal, one his grandmother, Yuko, advised against, taking his own life. Entering the third chapter, The Weight of Sin, Shun is placed in a strange Japanese-style room. In this first room, he finds an old amulet and, strangely, a classroom key. It's strange to find a school key here, but Shun doesn't think much of it as he exits the room and enters the hall. Blood is everywhere, and bloody footprints lead down the hall to the north. Strangely, in this nightmare realm, there is a Japanese-style classroom here. Entering the room, Shun encounters Akari Mikazuki, the girl who entered the shrine with him. She now is conscious and healthy, asking Shun where he's been. Yuko, Shun's grandmother, brought Akari here. Shun is relieved to see she's okay, and the pair agrees to travel together for safety. The two inspect the room, finding an old notebook on the desk covered in dust. Shun reads the title, Keiji Kisaragi's Diary. It tells of Keiji escaping his village for better opportunities to make money. He had no formal education, so he went to school, finding it difficult to make friends. His goal is to escape poverty and to get his family out of the foul Yokota village. Entering high school, he had more job opportunities. He came to know his classmate, Miyuki Asao, who is lively despite her poor home life. It ends with him wanting to get to know her. Checking the rest of the room, Shun and Akari find a blue orb in the orange chest. More items, such as the infirmary key and an old amulet, can be found around the room in the abandoned student bags. Clothes lay on the floor, the area drenched in blood. This is a common motif across all of the classrooms, noting the disturbing happenings within the sizable shrine. Leaving the room and going to the left, they encounter the two-mouthed woman, who can be locked in one of the classrooms. Free from their pursuer, Shun and Akari enter the bathroom, since it's one of the few rooms that isn't locked. This room will unlock the first ending. The bad ending. One more goal. Suicide trigger warning. Please skip this section if you are sensitive to this topic. Inside the bathroom is an array of urinals and toilets. There is one toilet, however, with a gold ring around it, and a noose hanging above the toilet. If Shun interacts with it, he will be thrown into a forced cutscene where Shun will grab a chair from the hall, following the bloody footsteps to the noose, and prepare to hang himself. He mentions the people who lost the meaning of their lives and couldn't overcome their fears must have taken their own lives too. Shun expresses his resentment about his father abandoning them, and he apologizes to his mom, grandma, and Akari. He can't handle the bullying again. It's okay now, he says. He then hangs himself in the noose as he steps off the toilet. Soon after, two women appear, one dressed as a shrine maiden, and the other dressed in a bright, colorful kimono named Yume, which can translate to Hades. They talk about how those who die here are unable to be reincarnated, but they can end his pain. His death is blamed on Keiji, and the game screen fades to black. Bad end. One more goal. For those avoiding the bad end, Shun continues with Akari in the infirmary, just down the hall from Class 1 free. Upon entering this room, Akari and Shun are confronted by Jorogumo. Jorogumo had originally planned to eat them, But Shun, having picked up the shamisen in Ymir's room, stops Jorogumo immediately. Obtaining her shamisen, Jorogumo is pleased, and she transforms back into a young, pretty woman. Akari asks her to help them escape in turn for the shamisen, but Jorogumo has lost her powers and can't help them. With a mutual desire to escape and nothing further Jorogumo can give them, Shun and Akari leave Jorogumo in the infirmary. Inside another classroom, there is another chest covered in purple flames. It is filled with ominous energy, but without the key, it cannot be opened. Instead, Akari and Shun find the Class 3-2 key and a flashlight in this room. They also find a Hanya mask in one of the bags, which is an item made to help the player escape in a life or death situation, increasing the player's speed but lowering their health by 4 points. Shun and Akari won't need it. After searching the room, a 9-tailed fox trails down the hall. This fox is Ymir's tail that Ymir warned Shun of previously. Without consciousness of its own, it will harm anyone in its way, including the pair. They are able to trap it, but their hardship isn't over, because the Cloudy and Sunny dolls are back. With more smart maneuvering, they are able to lock the two in the infirmary. The pair then continues to the far right, further up the hall. There is a large lantern pursuer, possibly even a chest, with a large fiery eye and a sharp mouth. It chases Shun and Akari. To escape it, they enter the staff office. In the staff office, there are a variety of teachers' desks full of books and papers, as if they suddenly disappeared in the middle of a workday. After finding the Class 2 free key and a centipede inside, the pair is quick to leave, locking the centipede in the staff office. Now they move upstairs. Shun mentions that there is an ominous evil intent coming from the room they need to enter, and he urges Akari not to enter. That is because they have not yet obtained the dream prayer beads from this level. Instead, the two must turn back and obtain them in the ominous chest. When the pair finally enters the classroom and opens the chest, more words appear on the shaking screen. Finally, a shrine maiden appears and stops the disaster. Nothing else is said, and Shun and Akari must now return and hurry back to the room with the evil aura, where a new pursuer is waiting for their arrival. Outside the room is a large half-serpent, half-woman with 6 arms. Its name is Kankandara, and it's very angry. Kankandara admonishes them for ransacking her shrine and taking and using the prayer beads without her permission. Akari urges Shun to give the prayer beads back to the creature so they can safely escape. Kankandara, calling them shameless, tells them that she'll let them go safely if they return the beads to her, and promise not to return. Here, there are 2 branching endings: the normal ending and the real ending. To get the normal ending, Shun accepts her offer and returns the beads. Kankandara calls him shameless yet again because he's got the blood of that man in him, that man being Keiji, his father. Shun and Akari are sent back to the forest from the beginning of the game. They've escaped. Akari is relieved, but Shun chastises Akari for following him in the first place, telling her to never speak of this incident and to never speak to him again. Akari asks if he really hates her that much. He then says yes. He runs down to the forest exit. Upset, Akari follows him, cursing him all the way. This shows the normal ending: the master of the shrine. Now, for the real end. Instead of choosing to return the prayer beads, Shun chooses to keep them. Shun wants to settle things with Shiragami first. Kankandara is furious. She won't forgive Keiji's blood from defiling her shrine. This leads to the second to last boss battle of the game. Kankandara will chase the pair around the map, but by using the power of the prayer beads, Shun weakens Kankandara. After being transported back to the hall in front of the classroom, a large white snake disappears into a mirror on a wall, and a strange shrine maiden appears where Kankandara stood. The shrine maiden yells at Akari and Shun, asking what they have done. The shrine maiden, who we later learn is named Kyoko, sends Akari safely outside of the shrine without warning. She blames Keiji's blood, telling Shun he causes disasters just like his father. Their conversation quickly ends, and Shun is now confused, all alone. We now know that Shiragami, the white snake, was a part of Kyoko, sealed in her body. Now that they are separate, Shun can finally pursue Shiragami. Before entering the mirror to properly pursue Shiragami, Shun must clear Classroom 3-1. There are more writing utensils and textbooks, but after obtaining the Class 2-2 key and the red orb, Shun can safely leave and enter the next area. We must enter the mirror and begin Chapter 3.5, Shiragami. The sunny and cloudy dolls are waiting for Shun's arrival yet again. This classroom is bare, save for a few tables, chairs, and a massive pile of skulls in the middle of the classroom. Shun hurries to obtain the amber orb and an old key before escaping to the main hall once again. Unlike the rest of the level, the map in this area changes back to the traditional Japanese rooms with the sliding doors. The first room houses a two-mouthed woman, who is easily avoided as Shun grabs an indigo orb, an old key, and another classroom key. Moving down the hall, there is yet another centipede here. Shun easily avoids it and enters a room with blood splattered all over the sliding doors. There's not much to find inside, but a strange yellow chest with a familiar purple flame grabs Shun's attention. A strange, clean white scroll hangs on the wall next to it, bloody steps stepping away from it. Unfortunately, Shun can't open it, so he continues to leave the room. In the farmost left corner in the orb collection box, the box requires 5 orbs, but Shun only has 4. Without the 5 orbs, Shun is unable to open it. So Shun keeps looking for the missing orb. Exploring inside another room, Shun finds the last white orb and a small key to unlock the ominous chest. Returning to the ominous chest, Shun opens it to find Inugami's mirror. Without warning, the child from the bad ending, dressed in the colorful kimono, climbs out from the scroll, dyeing it black. The girl talks to Shun, surprised that he grabbed Inugami's mirror. This girl, we learn, is named Yume, one of the shrine maidens who protected the Dream Forest. She discusses with Shun the history of Inugami, a yokai that sought to coexist with humans and protect them from harm. Shiragami ruined that peace, however, and the battle between the two destroyed the village. Yuko Kisaragi, another shrine maiden, sealed away Inugami to reduce the harm that was happening. But this in turn allowed Shiragami to run free and cause tragedy in Yokota village. This mirror was intended to be used on Shiragami, and now Shun must use it. The mirror can't be used by the dead. Shiragami wants to use Shun's unstable emotions to free herself, but Shun cannot let that happen. The spirits here want Shun to return home immediately. He's already caused enough damage, but he refuses to do so. He first wants to seal Shiragami, and he won't let anyone get in his way. After the conversation, Shun places the 5 orbs in the collection box. He walks down the hall and finds Shiragami waiting for him. Shiragami offers to return Shun to the real world as thanks for freeing her, but Shun refuses. Shun, using the power of the flashlight in Inugami's mirror, will now seal Shiragami once and for all. The battle is tense, but Shun is able to deftly seal the snake away. In a last attempt to save herself, Shiragami attempts to find a kari to use as a new vessel, but Kyoko, the shrine maiden from before, suddenly appears. Kyoko offers to house Shiragami's soul in her body, keeping Shiragami sealed where she can monitor it. After Shiragami reluctantly agrees, she turns to Shun, cursing him that she will take his life at the happiest moment in his life as revenge for what he has done to her. With that, Shiragami disappears and Kyoko sends him out of the shrine as a favor to his father. The screen fades to black and Shun appears in the first room in the shrine. Akari is relieved and begins to cry, happy to see Shun safe. Shun apologizes for worrying her with a gentle smile. With nothing else, the pair leaves the shrine together. Akari wants to discuss something with Shun, but he tells her to wait until they're safely outside the shrine. The player does not have to wait to know, though. The game is thrown into a quick flashback with Akari and Yuko, Shun's grandmother. Yuko tells Akari about Shun's 2 goals of finding his father and ending his life. Yuko is saddened, realizing how Shun uses anger to hide his loneliness and heartbreak about his family's situation. His father is long dead, and his mother is unable to move on from his father's disappearance. Akari readily agrees to befriend Shun. Returning to the present, the pair walks out of the forest. Time passed differently in the forest, and the two were missing for 2 weeks. 2 missing persons reports had been filed for them. Upon returning home, Shun's mother was so happy to have her son back. She never called Shun Keiji, his father's name, again. Upon returning to school, Shun is no longer bullied, all thanks to Akari. Instead, many students are dying to know what happened to them in the forest. What made them disappear for 2 weeks? They'll never know. Several years pass, and Shun leaves the Yokota region. People still go missing in the area, and Shun hopes that someone can end the tragedy happening in the forest. Surprisingly, the ending is not done. After the credits, there's a scene with Akari holding a tiny baby boy with purple hair named Yuto. Her older daughter, Asuka, asks her mom why her father, Shun, never laughs or cries. Akari answers because his crying or laughing face is so ugly, he does not want to show them. The truth, we know, is because of everything Shun has been through, because of Shiragami's curse. Akari asks her daughter to protect Yuto if something happens to her or Shun. Asuka readily agrees, misunderstanding the gravity of the situation. The game ends with Akari telling them both that they will be good people. Real ending: family. After obtaining the real ending, players have the option to learn more about the characters in the records room. Due to the length of this video, that will be made into its own separate video where we discuss the yokai further in depth from the Night of Death and Silent Dream together. We hope you enjoyed this video. Tell us your thoughts about the Night of Death below. Would you have done anything differently if you were Shun? Thank you so much for watching, guys, and we'll see you in the next video.